For more on this, I'm joined by Dan Yi. He's CEO and co-founder of CollegeNode, an education online platform. Good to see you again, Dan.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So let's start by just figuring out how widespread is this 996 culture across China?
Well, this 996 culture is pretty prevalent, especially in the tech industry. In the tech industry, especially among a lot of startups, it's a dash, and it is pretty common to see employers pressing their employee to work, throughout the night, pulling all-nighters. And this is not, the law is not enforced very uniformly. So a lot of the companies get away with this.
Well, actually, that's a really curious thing you bring up, because China does have very strict labor laws. Why isn't it being enforced? Because we often see, that these things are very well regulated.
Well, so first of all, to be enforced, there has to be complaints. And in order to complain, there are repercussions. Technically, it's illegal to have repercussion or fire employee to complain about a labor practice, but it is practiced very, commonly across the board. So because of these type of repercussion, very few employees dare to open. We complain about this.
No, but then, Dan, as we heard in that report previously, and from what we see online, the younger generation really rejecting this new work culture. How are businesses responding? Anything done to address this?
Well, ultimately, the labor market is a competitive market. So the companies have to compete for the best and the brightest employee. So in the long term, company will likely give a lot of perks to employee. And one thing that's really badly needed, mental health counselings in Chinese large companies. A lot of the employees, when working 80 hours a week, will crack. And the suicide that we saw in the last few weeks are likely employees that have a history of mental health issues that wasn't addressed. So this is one of the urgent issues that need to be addressed by the Chinese large companies, especially the tech companies that have cultures that press their employees to work throughout the night.
So you think despite the intense pressures and long work hours, the benefits still outweigh some of these factors?
Well, it depends on the company. So being in the tech industry myself for over 20 years, I can tell you that in a lot of tech industries, it's a matter of survival. So if you do not make it to a good quarterly report, you might get fired. The company might get outcompeted by a rival. So there is intense pressure on both the employee and the management. Now, whether pressing their employees to pull a 996 is the most efficient way to do this is debatable. In the United States, Google is known to be a wonderful place to work. They give employee yoga lessons, they give in-house kindergarten, and generally speaking, Google employees are very happy. But the other end will be Amazon, which tend to press their employees to spend long hours. Now, which one of these models are better is still up in the air. Whereas I think in China, you will see many of the larger companies moving towards the Google model to shower their employees with perks, with yoga lessons, just to help them deal with the stress of the long hours.